I'm Zach. I'm with Tanner. We're talking college basketball. Tanner, the college basketball season is really young, but who knows what's happening between now and March? I mean, we've only
For real.
played 5 games so
Absolutely.
far, but I want to look at some favorites. Who's your favorite team or favorite teams to win it all this year based off of only the first few games of the season?
Well, I mean, first off, Zach, I just want to get to the point. It's great to see college basketball back. We were just starting this show, and we got probably in all sports the most heartbreaking news that March Madness was canceled. You and I are both huge
Yeah.
March Madness fans, so that was devastating to see. So to see these young men back out here, some of the premier talent, not just in college basketball, but hopefully the future of the NBA, I just want to say I'm so happy to see it back. It just makes my heart happy for these kids that they don't have to lose any eligibility. But to stay focused, back on task, for who is my favorite, I got to stick with I got to go with the Iowa Hawkeyes. In the couple games that I've seen, Luka Garza has just been absolutely phenomenal. And in my opinion, without a doubt, without any question, he is the best big man in the country. And maybe he might even be the best overall player in the country. And the sad thing, he doesn't look like he's slowing down. I mean, he's averaging 34 points with almost 10 rebounds. And you've still got Jack Nunch, who's averaging 18 points while shooting 50% from the field. And they've got a plethora of guys who can come off the bench. They're just a really strong, tight-knit group. It's one thing to have a bunch of really great players, but might have good chemistry. But they got Luka Garza and then also a lot of really good guys who know what their roles. They got guys that come off the bench, that perform at a high level. They give really solid minutes, and that is the kind of team that you want to see. And in a conference like the Big Ten, arguably one of the most premier and elite conferences in all of college basketball, that is exactly what you need. They will eventually take on Gonzaga, which I am really looking forward to. Two of arguably the top teams in the country right now. And then once we get to March Madness, I really would not be surprised if we see this team go all the way in the national championship. So I really like the Hawkeyes, specifically for Luka Garza, but just their team unity. You can't teach that. This is a tight-knit group, and they're going to do big things this year.
I hear what you're saying, but I have to disagree a little bit. So I really like Gonzaga to win it all. I mean, in their last game against West Virginia, of course, they were supposed to play Baylor after that, but that game unfortunately got canceled. The matchup of 1 and 2. We'll touch on. I want to touch on that a little bit, but
Absolutely.
later. But I mean, look at it. In their last game, they lost Jalen Suggs, or late in the first half, and then Jalen Suggs was out. So Aaron Nembhard comes off the bench, right? And they don't even miss a beat with him, really. He comes in, plays 35 minutes off the bench, drops 19 points, has 6 assists and 5 rebounds, and just plays lights out for this Gonzaga squad off the bench. Of course, he's a junior, so he's been around a couple of years, but that's pretty typical for Gonzaga. Gonzaga's team is full of juniors and seniors every year. They get all the best transfers. I mean, you can't go wrong with this Gonzaga team. But I mean, Mark Few knows how to coach with the best of them in the country. And they're deep. Like you said, Iowa's deep, but Gonzaga is deep. They're just a deep squad. I mean, they have their bench players probably start on the majority of the teams in the country. And you can't go wrong with that Gonzaga team. And then Baylor is also right there in the hunt for the national championship. I mean, you have to look at, they beat a really good Illinois team 82-69.
Yes, they did. Very impressive. Yeah.
Pretty handedly beat them. I know, unfortunately, we missed out in the battle of the two between Gonzaga and Baylor, like I talked about just a little bit ago. But I mean, I think they're the top 2 teams in the bracket, and not always are the top 2 teams not in the bracket, in the standings, are the top 2 teams to win it all. But right now, I think they are the top 2 teams. Gonzaga beats people shorthanded pretty easily. I mean, it was a little bit close there against West Virginia in the end, but really the last 5 minutes of that game weren't really that close, even though it seemed like it was close. I think the score doesn't show how easily Gonzaga won that game. I think West Virginia made a run at the end, but that happens a lot of the time. And then, I mean, yeah, Illinois just couldn't hang with Baylor in the second half. And we're talking about the number 5 team in the country. Like, Baylor beat the number 5 team in the country about as good as anyone we've seen. Like, it wasn't close. Like, Baylor and Gonzaga are heads and shoulders above everyone else. Like, Iowa's good, Illinois is good, Michigan State's good, Duke is good. There are plenty of good teams, but I just don't see how Baylor and Gonzaga are not 1 and 2. And I really think at the end of March Madness, that's the matchup we're going to be seeing.
And it will be definitely exciting to see that as we get ready again for March Madness. Still early, but obviously make some predictions early on. And Zach, I guess that poses another question then of which conference will send the most teams to the national tournament. And for my opinion, it's without a doubt the Big Ten. I mean, you've got 6 teams who are already in the top 25, and here they are. Of course, you've got Iowa. You've also got Michigan State, Illinois, like you mentioned. Wisconsin's been playing really well. Ohio State, and you've got Rutgers. And then you've still got a bunch of other teams. Nebraska's played well to start. IU has played really well. And it's just, and Maryland, of course, has always played well. At this point of the season, they've looked really good. Now, obviously, once we get to conference play, that's going to be a real battle. I think whoever is your conference champions by the end of the regular season for the Big Ten, that is already a big eyebrow raise for who's got the best shot to go deep into the tournament. And again, as I said, once it gets underway, right. I think whoever wins that is going to truly show who is ready to try to cut down the nets by the end of March.
I have to agree with you 100%. The Big Ten I think they could send 12 of the 14 teams to the tournament. The only 2 teams that I'm kind of worried about are Penn State, because they lost their coach right before the season started. Chris Chambers resigned. So that's just a team in flux, and they weren't great last year anyway. And I think getting a new coach so early or so late in the offseason is what I should say. That's going to be hard. And then you're replacing, and then Northwestern's just really young. They made the tournament a couple years ago, and then a lot of those guys graduated, and they're adding new pieces. They've got some good new freshmen coming in, a couple of top 50, 150 guys. So I mean, they're solid. I want to touch on Michigan a little bit. You said Michigan, I'd like to point out, was in the top 25, proceeded to win all of their games and drop out of the top 25. So that shows how good. So they're at the preseason poll, 7 teams from the Big Ten in the top 25, and honestly, the team that dropped out won other games. So it's not like Michigan is a bad team. They just, the AP just deemed that these other teams won their games slightly better than Michigan, which is fair. I mean, you don't have to be ranked in the top 25 obviously to make it in the tournament. It's not like college football, but you just look at it. I mean, the Big Ten just top to bottom really, really is stacked. And yeah, I really believe 12 of the 14 teams in the Big Ten can make the tournament this year and have an easy viable shot as anyone in the country.
No, absolutely. We've seen, as you said, Duke, like Duke in the ACC, North Carolina. That's not to say that the other conferences are bad. That's just how good the Big Ten is this year. And as you said, Northwestern, a team that I'm looking forward to watching, not just this year, obviously, but next year as well. Because as you said, when you're a young team, it's really hard, especially if you're just coming in to make adjustments to a really big stage. And then as you said with Penn State, that's in a lot of sports at the college level. That's always tough to make that coaching. And so I agree with those points. And that's the thing. Penn State essentially coaching changed from being still pretty solid. I don't know about tournament level, but still pretty solid. But Zach, again, I think both you and I can agree on this, that it is just great to see these young men out on the court playing the sport that they love and trying to make a name for themselves. And once March Madness comes back, you know that we're both going to be locked in and pretty much doing nothing but watching basketball all day.
Glued to whatever screen has a game on at the moment.
If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe for similar content, and also let's get a discussion going in the comments down below. We'd love to hear and debate your opinions as well. You can also check out full episodes on all the major podcasting sites.